Hi, I'm Greg from TR Industries. We're the WEG people here in New Zealand. In this short video, I'm going to describe the basics of what we need to know when we're supplying an electric motor. Everything you need to know is either on the existing motor's nameplate, or if you don't have that, it's a new installation, then the design and engineer or supplier of the product should be able to tell you this information. It's all listed on our standard motor inquiry sheet. If you don't have a copy of this, we'll put a link in the description, or shout out to our customer service team or sales rep and I'll make sure you get a copy of it. The first thing we're going to know is the output requirements of the motor. This is normally represented in kilowatts or kW on the nameplate. If you've got an older motor or something a bit different, they might have it in horsepower. Obviously it's just a conversion between the two. There are standard sizes, for example 2.2 kilowatt, 3 kilowatt, 4 kilowatt. So if you are giving us something that doesn't sound right, we'll know and we can double check that with you. And then we're going to need to know whether the motor is 3-phase or single phase. On the nameplate this will normally be shortened to 3 pH or 1 pH. It should be pretty obvious and easy to tell the difference. We'll also need to know the speed of the motor. Again, described in a couple of ways sometimes. So sometimes you'll hear it described as poles. That is literally how many magnetic poles are in the electric motor. Normally it'd be 2, 4 or 6 pole, or 3000 RPM, 1500 RPM or 1000 RPM. It's actually just slightly under that in the RPM. Again, if you're giving us something that doesn't sound right, we'll really easily understand the difference. We will need to know the mounting of the motor. This might not be on the motor nameplate, so one way of making sure you're doing the right thing is to grab a photo of the motor. The most common mountings are foot mounted, so the motor just has feet. Foot and flange mounted, so the motor has a flange and the feet. Or flange only, so no feet. There's a handy diagram in the our technical catalogue. Again, if you don't have a copy of this, in the description of the video there'll be a download link. If your motor is flange mounted to the load it's driving, so for example a pump or a gearbox, there are two types of flanges that you might find. The most common is what we call an A flange or a B35, so that's the larger flange, so you can tell this flange here is larger than the diameter of the actual motor itself. Or it might be a C flange, which is less common but still a lot out there, and as you can see by this one, the outside diameter is smaller than the motor itself. Again, pictures are all in the technical catalogue, so check that out. A frame size is the actual physical dimensions of the motor. It might not be as easy to determine on the nameplate. You might be able to see it. Normally, again, they're numbers, sometimes followed by a letter. So for example, this is an 80 frame motor, so I can see on the nameplate that there's an 80 written on it. The 80 actually represents the height of the centre of the shaft to the bottom of the feet is 80 millimetres. So that's a real simple way of telling what size frame you've got. So if you can work it out, it would be handy to know just for that peace of mind. We would also like to know when you needed supply of the motor. We've got stockists up and down the country. We can normally dispatch same day depending on the time of day that we place an order, but if it's more urgent than that or there's special requirements, letting us know when can give us options on different ways of supplying. We can reconfigure motors to suit. There might be different solutions. We can draw stock from other stockists around the country. So we will be asking you when you need supply of the motor. If the information we just covered is not easy to work out, you can't read the nameplate or you're a little bit unsure of what it is you need to supply, the best thing you can do is just grab a photo of the nameplate of the existing motor, a photo of the existing motor preferably attached to the equipment it's running, send that through to our customer service team and let us help you out. For larger motors, say above 30 kilowatt, we're going to need to know a little bit more information. For example, we'll ask what is the application of the motor. If it's a pump, if it's a gearbox, or for example a rock crusher. These things might mean we have more questions to ask or less questions to ask as we understand a lot of those applications really, really well. We'll also ask how the motor is coupled to the load. For example, if it's directly coupled or via a pulley. If it's via a pulley, then we sometimes will recommend roller bearings, so we will ask you that coupling method. If the motor was started by a VSD, then we would normally recommend EDM protection. EDM can cause premature failure of the bearings, so a good shaft grounding system can mitigate that. Also, we might be able to offer you and your customer a matching starter to go with the motor, so VSD, soft starter or DLL. We offer a 5-year warranty if these are matched with a WEG motor, so that could be nice to know. In summary, get a copy of our motor inquiry sheet, get a photo of the motor and the nameplate, work through the things on the sheet, and then call or email our customer service team and we'll help you out.